is the Motovation Podcast, hosted by Laurie Kingwell and Krissy Vann. That's me. And we're taking you on a little off-roading.
And every single week, we're going to be joined by our dope friend, Richelle from True Grit Moto.
Woo! Hey, I floss.
And every week, we are going to ask each other stupid questions, and we're going to answer them. And why, you may ask? Because we can. All right, this is your Motovation
Off-road edition. Okay, I'm going to just kick it off.
Cool.
What has been ruined by rich people?
Oh,
my God.
that's such a good question.
Like, how rich are we talking? Like the environment, first and foremost.
Well, like, how about I can begin so that you can get a sense for my ask.
Yeah.
For me, it's music festivals. So I have never done a proper music festival, and I wanted to do Shambhala. And like, I know back in the day, it was really grassroots and approachable. And then I looked up tickets for this year because it finally came back after COVID. And it was like $600 to stay in a tent and get like nothing else for it. And I feel like
Burning Man was the same thing.
Yes. So like, fuck, I'm never going to get to do the festival life because it's now just for rich people.
Oh, that's a good. Well, how about just like the cost of living? Just in general, they've ruined it for everyone because they buy up all the property, monopolize it. They don't live in it. Most of them don't even rent it out. So it's just these empty spaces of nothingness because it's an investment and it holds their money. And then no one else can afford that actually wants to live in it and experience it and appreciate it and have gratitude around it. Instead, we just stare at it from the road and like maybe or what if or, you know, when you're driving. But yeah, they have ruined housing.
Boxes
they have. They are just boxes of air. You don't even see lights on at some places, and you're just
especially Cole Harbor
wondering. Cole, it's craziness. That place that I was living in Kitchener, it sold in 45 minutes for somebody who'd never even been to Vancouver.
Wow!
And you're like, what? And it was cash, 1.9 million. I just thought, who's got that? Not poor people, not anybody that's in middle class, not anybody that's even rich in the area.
Yeah.
So like, are we talking real rich? I'm saying, for sure that. The ones that are kind of like mediocre rich, I'd probably say just socializing in general. It's definitely awkward to be in a space with a bunch of rich people and they just talk down to you or don't even speak to you. It's weird. Yeah, you're just kind of
find their topics of talk because once they've stepped into this certain kind of space of wealth, there's also these like low-key rules almost that unwritten rules that they feel as though they have to abide by. And, you know, I have some wealthy friends and I feel like purposefully now they've stopped inviting me when their other wealthy friends are around.
New money, I think, has that problem a lot more because actually it was accidentally. I don't even know. I end up with these like weird experiences sometimes I say yes to. And like through a trainer of mine back in the day, ended up like getting with this woman that was like very wealthy, but like generational and earned money. And then I somehow ended up at Vancouver Club at a party and I was like, oh no, it's going to be so hoity-toity. Like, and for me, I'm like, this is my best life in my True Grit sweater. Like if I have to get into the mode, I'm like, here we go. And it wasn't like that at all. They were fucking debauchery. Like money didn't matter so much, but it wasn't even flashy. They were hot messes. It was like Real Housewives. I ended up in like a random part of a hotel room where we were just drinking out of like Dom Perignon and like fancy ass tequila. And then I somehow ended up in their penthouse suite of like the Trump Tower at the time, which was highly controversial.
Yeah.
And I like, it's just one of those things where you're just like, they were all drunken hot messes, but it was fun, but they didn't have any pretentious. They like, were like, just enjoy like the craziness. So it was like going to the circus for rich people, which I was like, you guys are okay. You're a fun bunch.
And then the mediocre people that have like little to no money are like, well, I'd love to keep being debaucherous, but I have to work tomorrow at 9 a.m.
And they're like, I just made $20,000 in the last 15 minutes on my investments.
Right. Actually, they're
from the stocks.
The majority of the friends that I that I have that now are quite wealthy, because there's a couple of chunks of them out there that, and they didn't start with money. Like I know them from long time. And not at all like pretentious or like not at all, you know what I mean? And it's not like when I've gone to a good friend of mine, she took me to a friend's house and they're quite wealthy. They have like 3 houses side by side in Kelowna, like on the cliffside looking out. And they like, my God, like same thing where they partied and they were in their like 6 seat. Well, they live in Calgary. These were the summer houses and the reason they got the side houses is so that when people come to visit, they have houses to stay in. So
right.
And they were so welcoming. They were so like, I remember even just like, do you want wine? And I was like, oh yeah, what do you drink? White. And so like, they brought me my own bottle of wine, like sat down and I was like, okay. But it's funny, at the end of the day, when I really think about it, when it comes to like, whether money or no money or whatever the kind of thing, it really has no difference. It's just like, plain and simple, your character. Because I've met a lot of average income people or lack of income people that are jerks or greedy or all those things. And then I've met a lot of people with money that are jerks and greedy and all those things. And then I've met exceptionally generous people that have nothing to give, but will find something. And then people that have great wealth and then they'll give you anything you need, so long as you're not like some asshole too that's taking advantage of it. And then rightfully so, F off, But
I'd like to think that when we get rich, we are going to be those good, nice, rich people. And every now and again, we might be a little dickish, but we
already are. So that's just character. That's that all
character
still
building.
aligns. It has nothing to do. Yeah. But they still have ruined housing, Yeah.
They can't help it. They got to buy it. You know what else? Okay. One more thing. They've ruined thrifting. They've ruined thrifting altogether. Yeah. You can't even go to a VV anymore and buy a used pair of socks for anything less than $10. And you're like, why?
It's true. But we would be in that demographic or that, because
we would be.
It's like the people that like don't need to, but that's what we love to do and that we enjoy it. We're the ones, we're the assholes. Like, I don't know too many really wealthy people just like heading down. Like they exist, they're there, but it's not often. It's us that are the assholes doing that. So shame on us.
Shame.
But I was going to say, but also well done, all of us, because we are not going out and buying new things. We're buying secondhand things.
Yes, so we are. Yes. Well done.
Don't know. I have no idea for the devil, the angel in this one.
I mean, at least you scored those sweet George loafers, Richelle.
Ooh,
that was my favorite BB story ever.
Truly.
Truly.
You're like, these must be fancy.
I thought they were, but they were from Superstore.
It's amazing. The eye of the beholder.
I know. Whatever. I'm fine.
Oh, these are George?
George? Who is
Giorgio Armani? I'm pretty sure. I think the Armani head must scuffed off. Maybe.
Oh my God, so embarrassing.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
I haven't thought through these answers, so I'm coming up just as much like, oh gosh, I gotta have to think. If you could take back one stupid thing that you said or did this year, what would it be? Or just like, man, if I could. I don't know my answer either.
It's a tough one. I have a terrible memory.
I'm just trying to. I say, well, like we've talked about this before, where I think you and me, Richelle, on one of these recordings of like you and I, or maybe I'm lumping you in as well. I say a lot of stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so it doesn't really stick on me. And my memory is like, oof, that was one. It's just like, that's one of an ocean of many. And so the cognitive capacity to remember them all, nada. So I just let them fly into the abyss until the next one comes along. So that's what I'm like trying to think of, like, what's one of those times that you're just like, no, that you said.
I think it's nice that there's not a cringy moment that's coming to mind. Like,
Oh, that's a good point.
I think for sure when I'm like trying to be quick and like is the word quippy with stuff, like be swift in a statement or a sentence.
Right.
Quip pro quo. There's definitely a lot of moments where I've thought to myself, like, I wish I could go back in time and re-say what I was going to say in the moment of pressure. I think I've had a lot of those this year. Yeah.
I've got
mine too. Me
okay.
too. Same. Yep, that'd be mine too.
Go.
I've got one, and it was recent. And yeah, if I could take it back, I would. I actually I had to evaluate my life after to be like, should I bring it up or just let it be now? So our holidays were a little bit like of a craziness as it happens. And so on Christmas night, our dinner didn't happen. And the next day, because I thought my in-laws were going to fly away, I actually worked on Boxing Day because I had taken downtime the previous week. So my mother-in-law, which I did not know, helped make the dinner on Boxing Day. I thought it was my husband, who I would be very honest with. And I'm really funny about meat. And for so long, especially poultry meat, if it's dry, I'm like, ugh, no, thank you. And so I literally took a bite and I was like, oh, it's so dry. I'm like, this is why it's terrible. It reminds me of my mom's when I had to drink it with water to get it down the hatch. And my mother-in-law was there who made the turkey.
Oh my God, that's mortifying.
The worst, it's worse because I didn't know that until later in the aftermath. And I was just like, oh, because I literally took the turkey off my plate and put it back. I'm like, I can't eat that. And then later Gab was like, maybe you could have not said that. And when you all of a sudden have the moment of realization, he was like, my mom made it. And I was like, oh,
Krissy.
So I was just a total, what an asshole. And then I was the next day, the problem was I could have acknowledged it the next day, but then there was that part of me that was like, but the turkey's still dry. So it's I'm going to apologize, but I'm not going to be like, it was great. It was terrible still.
Yeah. Then what are you going to do? Oh, you're such a kind person that you just wish that you hadn't said that.
In fairness, if you're going to make the turkey, don't decide to keep it warm for the person by just letting it chill in the hot oven. The juices will disappear.
They will disappear. And bless your soul, Krissy. I wish that I could have sent you to know that. Yeah. Holy shit. That's a good one. I love that.
That was worth
So I was
question.
a Christmas asshole.
Oh my God.
That's fantastic.
I love that.
Remember when I started this and I was like, isn't it great that I have nothing to cringe over?
I thought you were going to talk about the royal family thing.
Oh, fuck yeah, that too. Oh, I'm on a roll.
That's why I was like, oh yeah. And then you were like, the turkey. I was like, oh no, this is something
I got
different.
baited into that. So my in-laws are from England, Northern England, and I did not realize the level of worship there was for the Queen, and the Harry Meghan thing casually came up. And to me, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not really a hardcore advocate on either way, but I got suckered in on a quiet rainy night and watched the documentary. And my perspective was I couldn't imagine my mom, Princess Diana, having been hounded by the media to that degree, and then seeing that happen to myself in my life, and just the fucked upness of even that. And their perspective obviously is, well, they're born into this and they get this luxury. So too bad, so sad. And then it was don't say anything about the Queen. And then it went real hard like that and got incredibly awkward to the point. My reaction was, I couldn't help but laugh because I'm like, I'm not that invested. I appreciate what you're saying there, but I'm like, either way, I don't know these people to be that passionate about whatever it is that's going on there. And also I'm like, maybe open a history book. That's not one that you learned from how you learned history.
Right? Let's maybe open on whitewash. Let's rethink this institution and what it actually does.
Some people are so invested in the royal family, they can't even get away from this. They just believe in whatever, and they love it. They just join in and they love it. This rich family
has our best interests. I'm like, does it though?
Does it? She literally had a ship that was so expensive and was it necessary?
Did you say a ship?
Yeah, she had a giant boat ship that was it was like a cruise ship. That was like her royal family home that they just shipped around on, and it was like so much
love
money
how-
was spent into it.
I just love that was what you were like, this is my issue. This shit.
This is my issue.
You're like the genocide, colonization of countries and people. She's like, did you
But I
get a
draw the
load
line
of
at
that
the
ship?
ship.
Did you see the ship? Did you hear about this ship?
It was
They
one
float
fancy
around.
ship.
Whole family.
Well, I mean,
floating
like,
around.
honestly,
Who's
it was
paying
so
for
visual.
that ship? I'm like,
it was so visual.
centuries
Like
of
all
slavery.
the other stuff maybe was a little bit more like covert, or like people were like following it. But at the same time, it's like there's just this big ship. Like, what are you doing? Like all the other shit was so intense, but at the same time, it was like,
Did the
what?
castles bother you? Does Buckingham get you going?
Yes,
Bigger than the ship is Buckingham.
but bullshit.
It's bullshit.
Kibosh them.
Bullshit.
She was pretty though.
The ship. I gotta Google this damn ship. Didn't know it existed. Pretty important stuff though, so I'll do that before the end of the evening.
It was a big deal. It was a very big deal.
Love it. Richelle, what do you got for us? What do you got for us tonight?
No, what was you saying, Laurie?
I was that's it of like not being able to articulate things and then saying them in a way that makes things more awkward in the end. I have so many examples. I don't have a example.
I know it's
Kind
hard
of
to
like
it's
right
hard to bring
now.
it
But
up.
then other times I've said it exactly how I wanted to say, and I didn't like that either, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, just one of those things. I think the like awkward moments where actually, I think I'd say it was not like a moment in time, but where you're just your mental health, you're just not doing well. You're holding on by a string or thread or whatever the fuck the saying is. And you have to have these interactions with people. And so you're on edge and you're just really, and then you walk away and you're like, yeah, they think I'm an asshole. But it's
Every
just
month
because
for
you're
me.
not right every month. But
Once
you just
a month.
aren't doing well in that moment. And I try and communicate it when those times happen as best as possible. But there's also moments when you're with people that like, it's just, there's no time. It's not the place and time and all the things. It's just, you just have to chalk it up that person's walking away being like, man, you're kind of an asshole. And you just have to accept that you'll never see that person again, but you will forever live on in their minds as that human, potentially.
Yeah. Potentially.
I'd love to be able to retrack that and that experience be different, but here we are.
Richelle.
Here we are. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is an interesting one because I've been doing this like whole new thing where I used to go swimming a lot because I loved it. And now I have my apprentice Hunter, and he broke his leg and I'm getting old. So we go swimming and saunaing and hot tubbing a lot now. We go to the Hillcrest pool in Vancouver. And me and Megan went to the pool in Kelowna as well. And there's like a sauna and a hot tub and stuff there. And I think my question here, which I found to be so funny, is what is the most interesting conversation that anybody's ever tried to strike up with you in the sauna?
Oh.
Or have you had one?
Yes and no. Come to think about it, like I sauna almost every day in our building, but I'm the only one, and I do it with the like lights out. No one's joining me. No one's coming in, flicking on the light, and then like, oh, you're in here. Like my bag's like put near the door just in case. And mind you, no one in our building outside of the guy that swims at 5:30 in the morning when I work out is looking to go sauna either, right? So it's good. But so I'm by myself. But the other thing is not that this is the question, but it leads me to think of like, is it everybody's also unified thought that as soon as someone opens that door and you're in there, you're like, fuck off. Like in your head.
Yeah.
You're immediately like, bugger off. Like I almost a lot of times won't go in specifically because I don't want to be the person.
Yeah.
Because you know that you're ruining that person's moment right there.
Right.
Fair.
Yes. That's
I
so
don't think
fair.
I've had anything beyond people being like, it's hot in here. And you're
Yeah.
yep.
Ooh, hot
Sure
in
is.
here.
Obvious, like when you see a big dog, you just look at the person and go, big dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's pretty big. Yeah.
I feel like
guy.
because you've asked this and you've been dabbling more that you've had an encounter.
Yeah, do tell.
Well, okay, here's the funny thing is that I find that every place is different. So like I found that in Kelowna people were like kind of curious and there was one guy that questioned us like, are you guys new in town? And Megan was like, well, actually I grew up here. Like I've been here maybe more than you have, but we just haven't been here for a really long time. And it was kind of like, well, there's a whole bunch of regulars here. We have no idea who you guys are. And then
That sounds
when we
like
go
the
to
welcome committee.
it sounded like the welcome committee, yeah,
That's
but he had
weird.
no problem just like jumping in and just like talking to us, which I find interesting because you don't go in there to talk to people. You go in there for like solitude and
He wanted
and
you to
peace
leave.
and,
That
like,
was his way that he was like, I know
Yeah, he's
how
like,
I would leave.
get the fuck out.
Yeah. And he's like, where do you get your haircut? Just keeps like digging into
Yeah. Even they were so
Just up
friendly
and leave.
too at the same time, and you're just like, I can't not answer you. And then I
Right.
find it like Hillcrest, nobody talks to each other. It's like silence. Like not one person has asked me or Hunter one thing, nor do they even look at you. They do, however, cough if they're uncomfortable with you talking. It's like as soon as we start talking about something, even if we're whispering, we'll hear you know,
You know
it's
what's
like,
wild?
stop.
It's like a
Ah.
couple of months ago, that would have been super frowned upon on their part.
Right.
Maybe they're trying to make you leave. They're like, maybe the cough trick will work, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The vid will get
And
him out of
then
there.
when we went to, like, I've gone to that forest sauna in Squamish, where it's like more of like a welcoming environment for like relaxation and kind of just going out and being out in the outdoors. And there, oh, the people are talking the whole time, and they're talking about who you are, where you're from, why you're
Super
there.
interesting.
It's so crazy, and I feel like there's these like I just find it so interesting that all these different places and like the interaction in saunas and what's going on and the environment of it. I'm just
Sauna
like,
communities.
it's
So,
weird. Yeah.
I actually just interviewed the sauna dude from Finland who runs the Arc Secret Spa in Vancouver. And he's the one that does the mobile saunas that are in Spanish Banks.
Nice.
And we talked about exactly that because there was a global sauna and cold plunge report. And so by 2025, it's crazy. Like the industry is expected to spike into the billions. And like for him growing up in Finland, he's like, people build their saunas first and then their homes. Like that's how much it's part of their culture. And
Wow.
it's projected to be one of like the top things now, like for people that are building houses or buying houses is putting
Those
in a
rich
sauna or a
people.
cold plunge is what they want to put in
Wow.
there. But okay, so conversely, like his passion is that he wants to build community. So it doesn't surprise me when you went to Squamish. That's where a lot of these entrepreneurs want it to be a community experience. So they're doing
Mhm.
like sauna sessions on a Thursday where you show up and there's 20 other people and it is supposed to invoke deep conversation amongst strangers. And that's what they want to create. And for him, he actually is keeping the price point quite low to do it in Vancouver because he wants it accessible to everyone versus being a luxury experience.
Right.
Right. And that's so cool. And there's just been like even that Tality Wellness place that's out in North Van, the conversations that I've had there are so meaningful and so genuine, and people are so supportive. Like when you try to figure out like, can I do the ice bath? Should I stick to the regular one? People aren't pressuring. They're very supportive. And by the end of it, you're in the ice bath and it's like cheered and people are excited. And I mean, for me, if I'm thinking about relaxing, yeah, I'm thinking about now I want to go cold plunge in sauna and what that means. It's not just like a walk in the park anymore. It's like I want to like shock my body and relax it. So it's just so cool. And I'm so happy that it exists and that it's becoming a huge thing, which also makes me think, is there stock in this? Can I buy now? You know?
Right? I can't remember the numbers, but it's like a ridiculous amount of billions of dollars is how much that industry is projected to be.
Yeah.
So.
And that's how people invest. That's how people jump in and learn that there's something there. And the best part is you're investing in wellness.
Yeah.
And it's, I think it's going to be huge. It's going to be epic, and hopefully nobody turns it into something terrible. But yeah, it's very exciting.
And the root of most people in that business, and like even through my other entity where it's like all fitness and wellness, like it's the one thing I've appreciated most is even the successful entrepreneurs, they're still so into the fitness and wellness space that the core of them doesn't seem to be, I'm sure obviously there's corporate greed and bullshit up the ladder, but like for the most part, everyone seems very pure of heart. Like they want other people to discover wellness. Like for you being like, this is something that now this is what I do to relax. And the fact they turned someone like you to be like, this is now my thing versus a walk. What a win.
Yeah, totally. And I love it. And I'm here for it.
You just went off-roading with the Motovation Podcast, hosted by Laurie Joy Kingwell and myself, Krissy Vann.
And of course, a special thank you to Richelle from True Get Moto.
Whoop, boss it.
Never miss an episode by hitting like or subscribe. Connect with us on Instagram at Motovation Podcast and visit our website at themotovation.com. And in the meantime, full tanks, full throttle.
I think this is good though. It's like healthy, you know, like people will be like, oh my God, I don't floss.
Well, it's going to be so hard not to laugh to get through this intro.